Hello and welcome back to another video. Doing something a little bit different today. We're over on the other side here of the studio, and just have some quick notes to go over. This is going to be a video about music, about Taylor Hawkins, more specifically. We all know, Taylor passed away back in March. It's pretty shocking. Yesterday was the first of the two tribute concerts. I'll be going to the one in LA. I will probably watch the London one at some point. I kind of don't want to watch it all right away, and I want to just take in the kind of LA show first, because I'll be actually at that one. So I'll be going to that. I've kind of always seen Taylor as kind of this weird musical through line through at least since 1995. And 1995 is when I at least consciously started taking music more seriously. Like, up until that point, I would, music would be on the radio. I would have some tapes or some CDs or something like that. But I really wasn't taking it very seriously at all. And then in 1995, three bands kind of like emerged that year, or artists, I should say, that made me take music more seriously, or at least like listen to it more intently. Those three bands were Alanis Morissette, Garbage, and Foo Fighters. Up until that point, I really wasn't even a big fan of Nirvana. I didn't take Nirvana very seriously up until maybe, I think, 1996, when I first heard the Unplugged album, and then I became a fan of them as well. Dave Grohl connected with both that and Foo Fighters. But I remember watching the You Oughta Know music video on MTV, thinking, I'm like, okay, this is cool, this is interesting. Watch that. I was watching more MTV at the time. I guess even in 1995, MTV was better than it eventually became, but it was still they were definitely pushing some of the other more shows, I think it was Real World, Road Rules. I remember liking Road Rules, but anyhow, one interesting thing about this is Taylor Hawkins is basically connected somewhat tangentially and directly through these three artists. So, as we all know, he was Alanis Morissette's touring drummer. He showed up in some of the music videos, some of the live performances you might see during an award show and things like that. He then eventually, after that first world tour, joined the Foo Fighters in 1997. And then he's also worked with Garbage's drummer, producer, Butch Vig, on various projects, or Foo Fighters projects, most notably probably Wasting Light and Sonic Highways. Both albums that I really liked. I didn't necessarily like Sonic Highways at first, and then it kind of really grew on me. But again, back to 1995, I, at that point, wasn't really taking music super seriously. I think one of the local radio stations that I generally will listen to was very much like a pop station. Around 1994, 1995, switched to be a more alternative music station. I'm not very good with musical genres, so I don't really know exactly what made alternative music alternative. What's an alternative to? I don't really know. I apologize. Also, this is going to be kind of a rambling video, so I'm going to be going to try to stay on focus, but it's going to be all over the place. But that station started playing stuff like Stone Temple Pilots. It started playing, I think, Green Day and music like that. So I don't know if those are considered to be alternative or not. I mean, I guess Stone Temple Pilots is more maybe grungy, but I'm not really even sure exactly how it falls into whatever genres. To me, rock is one big genre, and I include metal and all that kind of stuff into that genre as well. Let's take a quick look at some of my notes. So again, Taylor being a drummer for Alanis Morissette, and I just got this vibe just by watching some of the music videos he may have been a part of, or other live performances, that he was just this really cool, chilled out, super nice guy. Without even I've never saw him live, unfortunately, or anything like that, but just got this vibe that he was just this super chill dude. And I think that's pretty much what anybody that has met him or knew him or anything like that would probably say as well. Just a super genuine, cool, chill dude. So 1995, I get back into got really into Alanis Morissette, into Garbage, and into the first Foo Fighters album. And I remember when I was watching, and I knew who Dave Grohl was at that point. I knew he was the drummer for Nirvana, but I didn't know he can play any other instruments. And this was kind of me being like a totally naive to like the music industry and all that kind of stuff. I was like, well, Dave Grohl's a drummer, and he's also I'm like he's also a guitarist. Like, how is this a thing? Because I'm like, well, I would imagine learning an instrument is really hard work. I mean, I've tried to play guitar a few times. I can't really play drums very well in a rock band, even though I did some Foo Fighters drumming last night, kind of as like a tribute, and did okay at My Hero and Learn to Fly. So I was playing on medium difficulties, but usually I play on easy, so I did all right on medium. But just seeing him in the I think it's the music video for I'll Stick Around, where he's on the guitar, and I'm like, well, this is like even in a music video you can just like have the instrument on you and not really be playing it. But just thinking, I'm like, okay, he's a drummer, but he's also playing guitar. And then I was just like just the discipline to be able to do one instrument well was kind of mind-boggling to me. Like, how is he doing multiple instruments? Like, and then, you know, on that album, played pretty much the entire album, like recorded it at least by himself, with the exception of like one small guitar part or something like that. So I'm like, at that point, I was just very impressed with just Dave Grohl being able to be a singer, a guitarist, a drummer. I imagine played bass on that album as well. I didn't really check the liner notes or anything like that, but basically just played everything except for one small part. And then a couple years go by, like Garbage puts their first album out in 1995. Their next album's a few years away. Foo Fighters' next album is like 2 years away, and Alanis Morissette's next album is also 3 years away at this point. So I remember watching something at one point. I don't remember what show it was, or if it was on TV or something else. And I see Taylor Hawkins drumming with Dave Grohl, and it's immediately like literally the meme from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where DiCaprio is just pointing at the screen. I'm like, hey, that's that guy from Alanis Morissette's band. I'm like, what's he doing? And I'm like, okay, he's in this band now. This is sweet. And that album, you know, The Color and the Shape. I don't think, you know, Taylor played anything on that album. Like, but I think it was like he toured it, so he basically knew how to play all the drum parts anyway. Just, you know, saw him and was like immediately like, oh, this guy's now in this other band that I liked from, you know, a couple years back. Or I mean, I still liked, but I hadn't really listened to, because usually like I'll listen to an album for like a good solid amount of time, and then if nothing new comes out from a certain band, I will then move into other bands and then go back to that band once something new comes out. There's a few bands where I generally don't do that to anymore. Like, I'll just constantly have them in rotation, and Garbage, Alanis, and Foo Fighters are in that group, to where I think those are probably my three favorite artists, at least currently, or at least for a while. So, and that's not including like legacy acts, where I don't know where I rank like the Beatles in that. They're probably like in some like Hall of Fame area where it's just like, okay, like I really like the Beatles. I like these other bands more, but I recognize that a lot of these other bands might not even be around if it wasn't for like the inspiration or what the Beatles like had accomplished, and other bands like that. So again, Garbage, Alanis Morissette, and Foo Fighters like in my top three, like very, very easily. I remember then listening to Color and the Shape, like, and really, really liking that. It's probably, I think, my third favorite album from them. I think my if I rank my favorite Foo Fighters albums, it goes There's Nothing Left to Lose, because that one was just basically like a 3-person band at that point, and like I don't think they were under contract to any like record company, so they were able to like basically just go back to Virginia, take as much time as they wanted. It was like several months, I believe, to write and record that album. My next favorite album, which ties back into Garbage kind of tangentially, is Wasting Light, which is produced by Butch Vig, but also recorded it in a much more old school way, where they recorded it at Dave's house. They recorded it on tape, meaning that the production was probably scaled back just a little bit to accommodate, you know, like tape editing and all that. And then my third favorite, I was thinking, like, my first favorite is Nothing Left to Lose, then Wasting Light, and then Color and the Shape. So easily top 3, like S tier, whatever you want to call them, albums. And then, a year later, Alanis Morissette releases her second album. Garbage releases their second album. I think Garbage's second album is better than their first. I think version 2.0 is probably my favorite album from them. Like, it's like easily like my number one. And then I don't know where I necessarily rank Alanis' second album in with her other albums. There's a few tracks on there I really like. I definitely like Jagged Little Pill more. But I don't really know where I rank the second album in with her other work. I think Jagged Little Pill is probably number one, and then I'm not really sure what number 2 would be. But what was it called? Like Infatuation Junkie. I can't even remember the name of it because it's kind of long. But Supposed and Former Infatuation Junkie, something like that. I have that on CD as well. Got that back when it came out. Like I said, I liked it, just not as much as that's her first album. But then I remember also another Taylor Hawkins connection to Garbage I was watching. This is like 10 years later maybe. I think it was 2007 because I think it was when they did Absolute Garbage, and it had like a DVD in there, and there was like a little mini documentary that they made. It was called like Thanks for Your Support or something like that, or Thanks for Your Support. And it's kind of like videos from their tour, like little like interviews and stuff like that. And there's a part where it's Butch Vig, Eric Avery, and Taylor Hawkins in Russia. They didn't give context to why Taylor was there. Eric and Butch were there because like Eric Avery is their touring bassist and has been, I think, since that tour. But there's just like a very quick bit where Eric, Butch, and Taylor are just hanging out in Russia, talking, like messing around, and then there's like they go to an underground, literally in the video, Eric Avery's like, it's literally underground because it's under a highway, like a pirate CD store, and everybody's like looking at different albums, and you see like Butch Vig grabs an album, and he's like, hey Taylor, check this album out, and Taylor's like, oh, that's sweet, that's whatever, it's pretty cool. And then after that Foo Fighters did a couple more albums, took a break between that and Wasting Light. They did the greatest hits between that, and then they did a few more albums. But I unfortunately never had the opportunity to see them live. I think I wasn't anywhere near where I am now when they played. I think the last time they played in this area was 2018, and it happened to be the same day I was coming back from the Garbage 20th anniversary show, or version 2.0 20th anniversary in Albuquerque. So I unfortunately missed that show. I think I had planned to go see them in like a couple years ago, and then of course the pandemic happened. So I did buy tickets to a show this year that would have happened, let me see, like a month ago at this point, almost a month ago. And unfortunately, that tour was canceled, like obviously for obvious reasons. And then they announced the 2 tribute shows, London and LA, and I'm like, I really want to go to that. And I got super, super excited about it because I was just like, oh, I'm going to go to that. And like, I had these plans to like, I'm going to fly in that day, and then I'm going to like go to a show and just basically walk to the airport when the show is over, because it's like right near LAX. And then kind of the reality of everything kind of sat in for like a good 3 weeks where I was very kind of stressed about getting tickets to it, because there's 2 shows. One's in London, one's in LA. I can't really feasibly do like a fly to London and fly right back. I could have probably, if I really planned it out, I probably could have done that. But I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm going to try for the LA show. And, like, I think it was middle of June. They were like, tickets are going to go on sale on this day. And people were like, okay, there's no pre-sale. What's going on? And then, like, a few days later, they're like, okay, the pre-sale is going to be on the Thursday before the general sale for the show, for both LA and London. And I'm like, okay, there's a possibility I could still do this. And then the band made it to where tickets are non-transferable. So hopefully that they were trying to kind of like limit like reselling on like StubHub and places like that. So I get in, this is 10 o'clock on like a Thursday morning, or like 9 o'clock on a Thursday morning, because tickets go on sale at 10. I've got everything set up on my phone. I'm like, all right, I'm logged in. Payment information is there. They're like 9:45, join the queue, and it's like, hey, there's like some 2,000 plus people in front of you. Like Ticketmaster just is like, and then you just watch the bar tick down and tick down and tick down and tick down until it's like, all right, there's 100 people in front of you. It's like, okay. And then eventually it's like, all right, you're in. Select your seats. And I'm like, okay, I don't, and it automatically put me in some weird spot that was like, the stage is right here. It was like right here. I didn't want to be like in like kind of high up. I'm like, I don't want to be at a weird angle. I'm gonna select seats that are like more in front of the stage. And they're nosebleed seats, unfortunately. But like, it's like I don't really care. They even released some seats that were like behind the stage, and I think those probably sold out immediately as well. Like those got released like a little bit later. But I just remember being like, okay, I'm gonna pick this section over here, this section over here, 2 tickets, get them, and then it's like, all right, it's like processing, because I know a lot of people were saying they'll have tickets in their cart, and then the tickets will be like, sorry, somebody beat you to those tickets. So then it was like, all right, do I have them? And then it was just like, all right, you have 2 tickets. And I'm like, all right, sweet. So I will be going to the tribute show again. Wish I was able to see them under better circumstances. Like I said, I wish I would have seen them, a couple years ago or something like that. But the show that I would have went to back in August would have been my first Foo Fighters concert. But this one in LA, from what I've read about the London one, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be emotional, and it's like a once in a lifetime kind of show. So I'm super excited about going to that. And I think that's gonna do it for this video. Sorry for rambling, going in a million different kind of directions here, but thanks again for watching. Take care. Have a good one. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you around. Thanks.